Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. My name is Saimah and welcome to Saimah's Experience. I've been a host on the Turo platform for 6+ years and I have hosted thousands of trips in my time of doing this, and I have pretty much experienced everything under the sun. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the 3 things that you definitely really need to be prepared for when you are joining the Turo marketplace, or if you've just started off, because I guarantee you will experience these things and you may have a difficult time in the beginning because you're not used to it. So this is very, very important. A lot of hosts are talking about this these days, so you're going to want to tune in and watch through the entire video as I get through all 3 things. So let's go ahead and jump into number 1. Damages. Damages are inevitable. Your car is going to get damaged. Let me repeat myself. Your car is inevitably going to get damaged while it's listed on Turo. And that is just the nature of the business. You just have to remind yourself that there are so many different people that are driving your car, and they are probably driving that exact car for the first time, and so they're not used to it and things happen. However, the good news is that most of the damage that typically happens frequently is very minor, and it's something that can be dealt with and taken care of and can be a very stress-free type of thing. So I'm going to give you guys examples of my own cars so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The number 1 most common type of damage that you will likely experience in the beginning of your Turo journey is rim rash, or otherwise known as curb rash. So basically your rims are going to get dinged up. This typically happens from when people are parking, they get a little too close to the curb, they're not familiar with the spacing of your car, so they rub that wheel right up against the curb and it ends up really scratching the entire rim, which over time is something that makes your car look really terrible. Now here's the deal on curb rash. Curb rash is something that's going to happen over and over and over again, and it's not always going to be covered when you file a claim with Turo, and I'm going to get into that when I get to my point number 2. However, don't worry when this happens, because it is so common, and eventually every single one of your rims is going to experience this. The other most common type of damage that you're going to experience is some sort of scratch or scrape or dent on your front bumper or your rear bumper. These are just very common. And again, it is oftentimes caused by, somebody's taking a turn. Maybe they get a little too close to a curb. Maybe they pull into a parking spot that has that cement sort of stopper in front of it. I don't know what they're called, but there's so many things that go wrong where people can very easily scrape bumpers, whether it's in the front of the car or in the rear of the car. This is just something that very commonly happens, and you'll see this on my cars as well. It just comes with the nature of it. And then finally, you will get a lot of nicks and scratches as well. Now, nicks and scratches are probably the most annoying type of thing, because oftentimes there isn't much that you can do about them. So for example, if your windshield gets a nick in it, a little star, let's say it's just this small in diameter, you don't really want to replace your windshield when something like that happens, because it is very costly and you likely won't be covered through your host protection plan to get that coverage. So what you want to do is immediately get that filled in, and that should hold up and last for quite some time until, something else happens and your windshield gets damaged. So those are a couple of things that you really have to, if it hasn't happened to you already, I'm already telling you it's going to happen. And when it happens, worry not, because all of these things can be resolved. Now, that brings me to my next point, and this is something with damage naturally comes, number 2, claims. Claims is when you are filing for that damage reimbursement through your host protection plan on Turo. So you are utilizing your insurance coverage as a host. Now, oftentimes I hear from hosts day and night about how they have a bad experience with claims because the damage isn't covered. So let me walk you through why people have this experience and what you can do to avoid that happening to you in this type of situation, so that you are fully covered for anything that may go wrong. The main reason why people don't get coverage for the damages that happen to their car is primarily because they don't have proper documentation from before the trip starting and the condition of the car to after the trip and how the car was returned. If you don't check into your reservations on time and check out on time with detailed, clear photos, you will be denied for your claim, because if Turo can't prove that, hey, your headlight wasn't smashed when it went out on a rental, and you go ahead and submit a claim when the car came back, the headlight was smashed, but they look at your pre-trip photos and you didn't take a photo of the headlights, you are going to be denied coverage. So you want to make sure that every time you go into a reservation that you're really thinking about proof before and after. What was the condition of my car before I gave it to the guest, and what was the condition after? And can you clearly see the difference? Because that is what's going to tell you how the claim is going to go. If you don't have pre-trip photos, you are not going to get coverage, because how can you prove it? So that is very, very important. And that is oftentimes why people get denied. So make sure you take clear photos, clear documentation, and that you really follow the timelines that Turo has set and for you to submit your claims, for you to get reimbursed for the damages. This is very, very, very important. Now, the second reason why people run into issues with claims and why they don't get coverage is because they have deductibles. So now Turo has 5 different insurance plans. Out of the 5, 4 of them have some level of deductibles starting at $250, and it goes up to close to a couple $1,000 depending on what your host take is and what plan you're on. So oftentimes what happens is, let's say you get curb rash on one of your rims. Well, curb rash, the going market rate for a repair on a curb rash rim is $150. Let's say you're on the 75% plan with Turo and your deductible on that plan is $250. Well, that means that because your deductible is higher than the repair, you will essentially not get coverage on that damage. This is probably the thing that I find that most hosts get really surprised about when they end up in this situation. But the only thing that you need to understand is that this is how Turo's system is set up. It's not that they're doing it on purpose or anything, but what I think they can do better is really educate the host on how it works so that you're not blindsided when something like this happens. Here's the reason for it. So you're probably asking yourself, why do I, as a host, have to pay a deductible on damage that was caused clearly by my guest and I have proof? The reason is because when you list your car on Turo, your coverage as a host, regardless of who is at fault, will always come from your host protection plan, no matter what. Doesn't matter what the scenario is, doesn't matter what happened, doesn't matter what proof you have. The protection and coverage will always come from your host protection plan, because that is how Turo's system is set up. So what do you do in a situation like that? That's not fair. Your car comes back damaged, you're not at fault for it, but you have a deductible and you have proof that the renter did in fact cause this damage. So the best thing you can do in a scenario like that is go ahead and try to resolve it directly with your guest. At that point in time, you really want to reach out to them, talk to them, show them the before and after photos, present them with an invoice. Hey, this is the estimate to get my vehicle repaired, and discuss them getting payment over to you so that you can be reimbursed for that damage. So that's pretty much all that you can do in a situation like that. Now, I really want you guys to check out my site, powerhost.club. I do have a course for Turo that I have literally compressed my 6+ years of being on the platform into this really easy to understand course that's going to walk you through every piece of doing Turo and how to be a great host on the platform. And it covers exactly this type of stuff in depth of how you document the condition of your car, how you get your vehicles repaired, how you handle the claims process so that you don't end up in a situation to where you get denied. So you can find that information at powerhost.club. And finally, the third thing that you need to get really comfortable with that hosts are often caught off guard by is negative reviews. This is something that you will experience, especially as you're getting comfortable with operating within the Turo system and you're still sort of learning the ins and outs of it, which is why you should take the course. This is something that you need to watch out for, and that is the negative reviews. So here's what happens. A very common instance that you will face inevitably is people smoking in your car. This just happened to me the other day. It's been happening for as long as I can remember. It's just something that is very common, and it seems like it happens across pretty much every market on Turo. It's just something that, I don't know, people are into these days, and so they just want to smoke in other people's cars, and it's really annoying when that happens because you have to deal with not only the cleaning but also with the removal of that odor. So typically what happens in this type of a case is that as a host, because it's creating so much more extra work for you, you request for a reimbursement on the smoking fee. So the renter should have to pay because they did mistreat your vehicle. Now, oftentimes what happens with many of these renters who do smoke in your vehicle is that they will dispute that reimbursement fee, and it sort of leaves a bad taste in the transaction overall. That's a good way I can put it. And because the guest sort of wants to retaliate because they don't think they should have to pay for that reimbursement fee, they will leave you a negative review, which is, of course, completely unfair that the perpetrator who smoked in your car has the ability to leave a negative review and then on top of that dispute the smoking fee. So this does happen, and when it happens, worry not. This happens to everybody. Unfortunately, part of doing business is that you have to deal with unreasonable actors in the ecosystem, right? You just cannot control everyone, and not everyone is fair or respectful. You are going to come across these bad actors, and you have to just go at it with your best foot forward. Just know that it's inevitable. This is definitely going to happen. And when it happens, let them leave the negative review. Reach out to Turo support. See if you can provide proof of, hey, this looks like it's some sort of retaliation. They have malicious intent. Here is documentation that this person did in fact smoke in my car. Maybe there's ash everywhere. Maybe there's joints, maybe some, trash left behind, whatever it might be, to sort of prove your point and see if Turo can help you. And second to that, you always want to leave a public response to any negative reviews that are left on your profile, which you can do through your profile, right? And you want to make sure that you publicly clarify what happened so that when other people come onto the platform and they want to rent from you, they can fully understand the scope of what actually took place. So these are the most common issues that I've been facing, personally, and I've also have been seeing hosts in my community face as well. And people are usually very surprised when things like this happen, but I'm here to tell you, worry not. It is incredibly common, and it's something that is going to repeat itself and happen all the time. So don't worry about it. You just got to make sure you are prepared and you know exactly what to do should any of these situations occur. So really get comfortable with that and just know that it's a part of it. Now, once again, you can check out my site, powerhost.club. The link is down in the description below. I am going to be in the comment section right after I post this video. I look forward to talking to you guys and kind of talking about what are some of the incidents and troubles you have faced while you've been on the Turo marketplace. I would love to discuss and see what you guys are experiencing. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. If you like this channel, be sure to subscribe. Once again, my name is Saimah, and this is Saimah's Experience. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.